Peace, King. How you feeling? Yeah. Welcome to the platform. This is a tremendous honor. I truly appreciate you for your contribution to, some of the best music that we've ever heard in hip hop. You definitely changed the game and worked with some iconic artists. For the viewers who may not recognize you, let them know who you are and definitely where you from.
It's your boy Rsonist, Heatmakerz, from originally from Jamaica, grew up in the Bronx. Regular things.
Wow. Okay. That's a tremendous blessing to be able to, live in Jamaica and live in the Bronx. Those are two meccas for culture and music and fashion and style. So I want to ask you, at what point did you actually move to the Bronx and get exposed to hip hop?
Um, I got exposed to the hip hop culture probably I want to say 94, probably 94, because before that I just listened to reggae music. Like I came up on reggae music because my family's Jamaican, so all I had in the house was like reggae records and things of that nature. So I didn't get familiar with hip hop till I want to say my sophomore year of high school, maybe. So around that time.
Okay. I got you. I mean, that's dope because for you to get into hip hop at that late in the game and to excel and become as nice as you are with the production, that's amazing. So I can ask you, at what point did you actually begin to produce records for people? Did you start off initially as a producer, or were you DJing or b-boying or writing rhymes?
Yeah, I originally started off DJing. I went to Howard University and I DJed like my first few years. I DJed at a couple clubs out there. So that transitioned into me making beats after that when I came, because I got kicked out of college for that's a whole nother story. But I got kicked out of college and I came back to the Bronx. A friend of mine was DJing. I mean, was producing. He let me hold his equipment. I made a couple beats and just fell in love with it. And here we are.
Wow. Big shout out to Howard for sure. And big shout out to the HBCUs. That's what's up, man, to be able to even, go to one of those and get exposed to the culture. Now I can ask you, now when did you actually form Heatmakerz? How did y'all connect?
Right after I got kicked out of college, we met this guy that came up with the name Heatmakerz, but he was doing a lot of fraudulent business, trying to rob us some money and stuff. He was supposed to be like our manager. So when we got him out of the picture, I incorporated the name Heatmakerz because my name was already Arsonist from the time I was DJing, so it made sense. Arsonist Heatmakerz. We kept the name incorporated. It was me and my man Thriller, and Thriller stopped making music in like 2007, so it's been me by myself ever since, for the most part.
Okay. Now I can ask you, when do you feel like you got your first big break in terms of being able to make records for artists that was signed to major labels and in the industry?
It would have to be running into Meeting Cam, like the Come Home with Me album. We had two tracks on there, but I don't think a lot of people even paid attention to us at that time. So I would say like when we started working on Diplomatic Immunity, I kind of felt like this is our end. You know what I'm saying? So because we did 11 records on Diplomatic Immunity, so when the album came out is when it hit me. Because before that, I wasn't really sure that these things were really happening. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, it was like I'm a kid from the Bronx who was just making music. To I never got too high and I never got too low. So I didn't look at it like it was an accomplishment. You know what I'm saying? I kind of looked at it like just keep making music and hopefully it'll turn into something. You know what I mean? I never got too caught on myself.
I can dig it. Now I can ask you. I was looking online, and you got credit for producing the track on Camron's "Come Home with Me," but also the same track appeared on Ghostface Killer's "Bulletproof Wallets." Is that inaccurate, or what is the story behind that track being on both albums?
No, it's actually the same beat. What had happened was Ghostface had, I don't want to call it stolen, but he took the beat right off the CD and put it on, and rapped on it and put it on his album. And I found out later on because I had sold the beat to Cam, but by the time I sold it to Cam, Ghostface album that came out, and then I think Cam heard it and was like, "Yo, did you sell this beat to Ghost?" And I'm like, "I didn't even know Ghostface used it." So we had to end up you know, kind of getting at the label to they, for one, they had to pay me for it. Two, we kind of had to work some kinks out. And then but yeah, it's the same beat. It's the same beat, but it was an accident. It wasn't supposed to work out like that. Ghostface just took that beat straight off of a CD.
Oh, okay. I appreciate you breaking that down. That makes a lot of sense. Now, I wanted to ask you, what was it like working with Cam at that time? I mean, he just signed to Rockafella. He just dropped a new album. The Old Boy single is out. It's on fire. What was it like being around not only Cam but Dip Set and Rockafella Records?
Honestly, me and Cam physically met each other around right before the making of Diplomatic Community. Like when we did this stuff for Come Home With Me, there was a middle party involved that was kind of filtering the music back and forth. So I didn't get a chance to meet Cam until the making of Diplomatic Community. But by that time, the whole Rockefeller scene was crazy. You know what I mean? It was at that time Rockefeller had Cam, they had Freeway, they had Beans, they had Memphis Bleak, they had Jay. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Rockefeller at the time, at least in hip hop, was the biggest label at that time. So the environment was, exactly what you expect it to be.
Oh man, that sounds amazing. I wanted to ask you about producing the Dip Set Anthem. It seems like that was the record that really laid down the foundation for the sound of the Dipset and Jim Jones and Juelz and Camron. That really was a phenomenal era in hip hop. If you could just talk about making that record and was Cam and Dipset there?
No, I made that. I didn't make it on the spot. I actually made that beat like along with like five other beats the same day. That was like the last beat I was making for the day. And I was actually gonna throw the beat away, and my cousin walked in and told me it was fire. So I ended up keeping it. So that beat would have been in the trash if my cousin hadn't walked in when he did. But yeah, everything happens for a reason. So that's a blessing in disguise.
Man, big shout out to your cousin wherever he is. Thank you for not letting him throw that track in the trash, man. That was a big record. I was in high school when that came out, and I could tell you at that point, man, we really not only wanted to be like Dipset, we wanted to rap like him. We started even dressing like him, and not only us. This was like a real movement around the world. And I just wanted to ask you now, what was that sample that you
That's a
used?
Jamaican record. Like I told you, I grew up listening to reggae music. So when it was time for me to sample, I knew reggae records. I didn't know like old school soul classics, because while other people were listening to like might have been listening to Marvin Gaye growing up if they were younger, I was listening to Beres Hammond and Bob Marley and Garnet Silk, and you know what I'm saying? So my whole musical library was different growing up. So when it came time to sample, I didn't think about traditional records that everybody else was sampling. I was thinking about, like hardcore reggae classics.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Now, my next question is about the second album. If you can talk about, how involved you were in that project. And also, I wanted to ask you, were you the producer on Crunk Music? Did you make that record?
Actually, crunk music was made. I forgot who they people always think I made that record. I didn't make crunk music. I forgot who made that. I forgot their names. It was like some at the time it was like some newer producers. I don't remember their names. But that wasn't me.
Oh, okay, yeah. I had to ask. I thought it was too. You know how it be online sometimes. They get it wrong.
People affiliate anything Dipset made with Heatmakerz, like especially during that era, which is understandable because, like I said, I did 11 on the first album and 12 on Juelz's first album, so I can understand how people can make that assumption.
Yeah, definitely, man, because you laid the foundation to the diplomat sound. So, those are just as much your records as they are Cam's and Jewel's and Jim Jones. I mean, you really are intricate in their sound. So, we got to give you your flowers, man. Thank you so much for your contribution to that project. Now, I kind of wanted to move up a little bit. I wanted to ask you about the El Capo album with Jim Jones. I was looking online and they were saying that you produced every record on that album. If you could talk about that.
A couple of the features I lined up. like me and him worked together on the arrangement of the album, kind of what was missing, like to fill in certain gaps in the album, what kind of album we were trying to curate. Like me and Jim figured all this out together. It wasn't just like we went in and just started doing random records. We went in and every record kind of had its purpose. You know, you understand? Like it wasn't just do miscellaneous records. It was okay, cool. We need this type of record. Let's find this type of record. And I would make something. If he fucked with it, he would do it. He would do something. If not, then we would move on and do another record. It was never something where we were like just aimlessly throwing darts at the dartboard. We kind of had things mapped out as far as like what type of records we need. Like Jim came in the studio one day and brought me the sample for New York City. When we first did New York City, he came in and brought the sample like, yo, I think you can make this into something crazy. And we did that. When I did Crystal Occasions, as soon as the record was done, I said, yo, I feel like this is the intro to the album. And Crystal Occasions might have been the second record made off of El Capo. And at that time, I knew it was the intro before we did anything else. You know what I'm saying? So I think we both had a clear vision of what we was trying to accomplish around that time.
Yeah, definitely, man. I gotta give y'all props on that one because when I listened to it, I always felt like it was a well thought out project, from the sequence of the records, the type of production that you put behind it, the features and everything. It flows smoothly. Now, by you being a producer and by you being involved with, lining up some of the features, I wanted to ask you, did you have any favorite records, maybe your top 3 or 4 records that you were behind?
What records? State of the Union is one of my favorites, and Crystal Occasions. So Crystal Occasions and State of the Union and Pity in the Summer, because that was because of how that whole record came together, and the fact that Fred is on there is kind of like it's a special record to me now. You know what I'm saying? Like when we did the record, obviously I've probably done close to 50, 60 records with Fred, but because of that particular record and the fact that he passed away, I think that record holds a like a special place to me amongst the other records too. So yeah, the Pity in the Summer, State of the Union, and Crystal Occasions are probably my 3 favorite records off of there.
Man, big shout out to Fred the Godson. Rest in peace, King. Definitely a respected MC. We definitely miss him. But that's good that y'all got to collaborate on so many projects. He was killing it, man, on that Jim Jones track. He said something like a Philly affiliated Philly. He was breaking it down, man. So I pretty much asked you, everything I wanted to ask you. But I guess I wanted to know: are you still producing? Are you working on any projects as we speak? Are you venturing into anything else? Fashion, movies, documentaries, or books?
Well, I have a documentary in the works right now, Heatmakerz documentary that should be pretty dope when it's done. I'm supposed to do some work probably like in April with Jerry Lorenzo for his new essentials line, or I don't know if he's still naming this one essentials, but I think it's whatever he's doing with Adidas. I'm supposed to be doing some work with him in April. Me and well, actually, I did it. I had finished a project with Crook and Joel, but I don't know when it's coming out. That'll probably I'm assuming springtime, maybe something like that. Then me and Jim are supposed to go back in for the second installment of El Capo. But according to Jim, he doesn't want to name it El Capo. He wants to name it something else. He said that El Capo has to sit by itself at this point. But that's a discussion for another day. Me and him will figure out. But I want to make El Capo Part Two. I think that's only right for the people. But oh yeah, and I did something on I did an intro for Dave East's new album that's coming out, and just working, man. Just a bunch of whatever surfaces I'm involved with it. But you know how the music industry thing is, man. It's like, oh yeah, and I'm doing a signature drum pack for Akai for the MPC that comes out probably summertime. So yeah, bunch of things here and there. Trying to land the theme song for the new Spider-Man movie, that too. So anybody that's a Heatmaker fan, keep your fingers crossed and pray for your boy. But yeah, other than that, it's regular. It's regular, just making music and trying to stay relevant, man. That's it.
That's what's up. I definitely look forward to that, King. Those are some iconic brands: Marvel, Adidas, Akai. Hopefully, you know, all of those ventures that come to fruition for you. But it's amazing, man, that the work that you've already done. A lot of people just dream of being able to be a part of one of those records. I definitely look forward to the music you got coming. Hopefully, you know, y'all drop that El Capo too, man. Y'all set the bar high with that first one, so you know, or whatever y'all choose to call it. But I know you and Jim gonna collab again. So I wanna thank you again for coming on, man. Till next time. Peace.